We're back, week 13. Small hiatus. We apologize. A lot of things going on in our personal lives lately. No excuses, but we've been putting winners out there, and we're hoping to put more out there
Why are you
today.
apologizing? There's still enough winners on the NFL side.
You're right. You're right. No, Rusty. Let's go to Houston. Let's just get this out of the way.
Oh God.
Let's just get it out of the way. Return of Deshaun Watson. It's just funny that they scheduled his suspension to return to Houston. The NFL does weird things like this. Does Houston pull off the upset? Like, it looks like too good to be true. Deshaun Watson's got to be rusty. He hasn't played football in 2 years.
Yeah, that's my thing here. I would lean to the under and the Texans. I mean, Deshaun Watson, like you just said, hasn't played football in 2 years, and everyone just expects him to return to his form. I'm not buying it. He hasn't had any real live game reps. I would definitely lean to the Texans here.
I love that thought. I snagged the Texans at 8 last night. It's dipped down to about 7.5 for the most part. I think there's a couple sevens out there, maybe a stray 8 if you look hard enough. But I like the way the money's moving on the Texans too throughout the whole week. So again, the idea like this Deshaun's return and coming back and laying 7 on the road after I think he hasn't played in about like 700 days. So I mean that's a long time. So I'm happy to ride with the Texans, and I'm putting them in as a play.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I totally agree. That number's wrong for a quarterback. That I don't care who it is. You don't play football for 2 years. It's going to be ugly in the beginning to start. And the Browns aren't that good regardless, but the Texans stink, so who the hell knows? All right. Let's go to New York. Ooh. Taylor Heinicke's dressed like Tommy Shelby from the Peaky Blinders today. I love him. That is man crush number 1. Taylor Heinicke, -2.5 in New York. What do you think?
I lean to the Giants here. I'm not going to bet it, though. I don't trust the Giants, but I just feel like you're buying high on Washington. These two teams are going to play twice in the next 3 weeks. Washington's going into a bye. I don't know if they're going to look ahead. They've been so hot. I just don't really want anything to do with this game. So it's just a pass for me.
Washington looks like a sharp play to me, and then you came in and told me the Tommy Shelby news for Taylor Heinicke's outfit today, Mike. So I know you're riding with your boy Heinicke. I'm happy to ride with you and lay 2.5 on the road. I also think, however, Sean's playing again, NFC East game. This one's going to be a battle. I like the under in this game. I'm playing the under 40.5. I also like the idea of teasing the Giants up as a home dog to 8.5. I like 2 home dogs today as part of that teaser. We'll get to the other one, but that's going to be included in it. So playing a couple different angles in that game. I think, for an NFC East 1 o'clock game, that's not the Birds game. I think it's pretty interesting, especially with all 4 teams in the East coming into today having a playoff position. So, this one's definitely going to be a battle. It could be a close one. So looking to play it on both ends.
So my question is, do we think the Giants are a playoff team?
I think it comes down to – I think this game's a good indication, right? It comes down to the quarterback play on both sides and Heinicke. And just right now, to me, I just feel like Washington's trending up with Heinicke, whereas compared to earlier in the year, the Giants have either at the very least plateaued, if not begun to kind of fallen off. They have, we know what works for them, and that's solid defense with a very heavy dose of Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones just protecting the football. I mean, that's a pretty specific mix for them to succeed. So if you get them outside of that rhythm, I think we've seen it, the past couple of weeks, it could be hard for them. So I think this week's a good indication of which team's going to, ultimately maybe snag a playoff spot. Because I think at the end of the day, probably only 3 teams at most from the division do get in.
Yeah. I think the Giants are the one that doesn't get in. I think Washington's D-line is going to be enough to stop Saquon Barkley. If you eliminate him from the game, from being a disruptor, and you put the ball in Daniel Jones' hands, I like any team's odds when it's strictly Daniel Jones has to beat you. That's how I feel about it. I like Taylor Heinicke way more than Daniel Jones. Washington's hot. I don't know if we're catching them at the wrong time, riding a little too much lightning, but I do think that they handled business in New York today. That's an official play for me at -2.5. Let's go to Detroit. We have mixed emotions about this one, and it just moved to 1.5. Lions 1.5 point favorites hosting the Jags. Explain to me why you guys like the Lions so much.
For me, I can't get off. I feel like this is an overreaction to the 2 games last week that each of these teams played. I can't get over what the line would be if Detroit holds on to beat Buffalo and Jacksonville doesn't get the miraculous comeback to beat Baltimore. I mean, I think Detroit is possibly laying 3, maybe 3 in the hook here. So I think there's value on the Lions at home. I think they're equal football teams probably, so I would take the home, I guess, small favorite at this point.
Yeah, I like that thought, and I think same thing for me, Mike. So I sniped the Lions on the money line at only laying an extra 5 cents at -115. So I think this game ultimately comes down to a pick 'em. I think there is a little bit of a market overreaction, underreaction, right, to how these teams are going. And I think at home, the Lions, with the way they're playing, the only problem for me with the spread now at 1.5. Again, I think this game is a pick 'em. Jacksonville is quietly becoming one of the, or I'm sorry, Detroit rather is becoming one of the bigger liabilities for the book. So Jags could be a solid contrarian play for you if you want to jag off today, Mike.
Yeah, I have money on the Jags.
Make you lean Jags, yeah.
I don't want to make that official. I did bet them. I'm not going to put that out on Twitter, but to me, this one comes down to the Giants have all their toys, or not the Giants. The Lions have all their toys back, but it's still Jared Goff. They have a lot of good weapons. Their O-line's healthy. That O-line's a very good group. But it comes down to quarterback play and coaching. I trust Doug Peterson way more than Dan Campbell. I trust Trevor Lawrence way more than Jared Goff. I mean, last week, Lawrence was making some plays.
Dealing.
And he started to look like the guy that you thought he was going to be. I hope he can do it 2 weeks in a row. If he's able to do that against Baltimore, and I'm not saying their defense is much better than the Lions because it's actually not. Their defense stinks. But team culture-wise, I just feel like I really like the Jags. This is like a big win. Any win is like a statement win for the Jaguars. Kind of the same as the Lions, but I like the Jaguars and the way that they're trending more than I like the Lions. So I'm going to take the Jags plus 1.5 in this one and just trust the quarterback and the coach. And that's my only reasoning behind it. So, all right, we're getting into a big one. This is there's a lot of good games. I'm like fired up about this one. And I never say this. I'm taking the Birds -4.5 hosting Tennessee. Give me the Birds. Everybody's down and out on the Birds. What the hell is going on?
Yeah, I don't know. When everyone starts to love Tennessee, I'm out.
Yeah.
When everyone starts buying a team that's clearly overperforming who they actually have on their actual team and the stats they're putting up, I'm fading them. I'll take the Eagles at home here for sure. A hungry team, a team that everyone is like starting to shit on and take out of their like Super Bowl predictions and real contender talk. You get Jordan Davis back for the inside. You have a nice defensive rotation. Everyone talks about Derrick Henry. He weighs on you as the game goes on. That shouldn't happen to their D-line today. They have a ton of guys to sub in and out. I like the Birds here.
Yeah, I think it comes down to, like you said, Sean, Derrick Henry, right? Because what else has made the Titans one of the bigger liabilities today, right? Because the Birds are only collecting a third of the tickets on the spread today. I mean, truth be told, I liked the Titans earlier in the week. The 5.5 number when it came out was pretty interesting. I was willing to say, okay, let's see the Birds collect. This is a big game for the Birds. Let's see if they can cover the spread. But now that they've become a pretty solid contrarian pick, compared to the amount of money that's coming on the Titans, there's a lot of angles the way you look at. Again, Mike, this is your boy, Mike Vrabel. One of your guys coming in here. He's got a lot of good trends as an underdog on the road. I think all that has led him to, led Tennessee to be a really popular public dog this week. So, but with that being the case, I think that the Birds could be a solid play at the same time. So I'm not making anything official in this, but I do like the way it's looking for the Birds.
The Birds are an official play. They're my second favorite play of the day, and here's why. Everyone is killing the Eagles' run defense. Their best run stopper has been hurt. When Vegas is a bigger Eagles fan than I am today, and you're going to give me the much better football team, it's not a question who's a better football team. If you can stop Derrick Henry and make Ryan Tannehill beat you, and if your offense is grooving like they were against the Packers, this game is not even in question. The Titans aren't capable of going toe to toe with the Birds if their offense is clicking. That's a fact. So you get Jordan Davis back. You have a mean rotation on that D line. Couple issues in the secondary, but there's no weapons on Tennessee that really scares anybody. Robert Woods is your most dangerous guy outside.
Treylon pretty strong.
Okay, but still, Ryan Tannehill has to get him the ball. Yeah. If you get to Ryan Tannehill, it's a wrap. I love the Birds, and I love that everybody loves the Titans. We're never in a position to bet the better football team and be on Vegas' side. At home, dude. Come on. The stars are lining up for this, and if you're going to give me the Birds with Vegas, I'm taking that 7 days a week and twice on Sunday. That's a 2-unit play for me when it really comes down to it. All right, enough about them. This one's weird, and I'm so conflicted. We're in Minnesota. Everybody loves Mike White. Minnesota's laying 3 at home. That's a weird football line. What do you guys think?
Early in the week, I was leaning Minnesota pretty heavy, just thinking about fading Mike White. But I don't really like the way this market has shaped out the last couple of days. There's seen a couple of these 3s turn to 2.5s. So, I mean, apparently there's somebody with a big wallet backing Mike White with maybe some more information than me. So I'm just going to pass it.
Okay. I've seen the same thing. I mean, with about an even ticket count and all that money coming in on the Jets, I can't stay away from the key number. So I'm taking the 3 on the road in Minnesota. I'm going against primetime Kirk Cousins, right? It's 1:00. It's a home non-divisional game. This is Kirk Cousins territory. But so I don't know exactly what kind of trend I'm fading. But I can't. Like Sean said, that market's telling them something about the Jets, and I can't stay away from it. Apparently, but now it's dipped down below the 3 to some spot. So I'm on the Jets, and let's go Mike White. It's a Mike White game.
I think the Jets are a much better football team without Zach Wilson. Goes without saying. Doesn't really matter who you fill in there. I'm just really not understanding why there's so much love for the Jets. It's a little confusing to me. But to me, that number says that the Vikings are laying an egg. Am I wrong? That number alone says that the Vikings are going to lay an egg in this one. And if they lose this game, they're total frauds. They can't afford any bad losses, especially with the way the playoffs are shaping out. You don't want to fall down a slot. You don't want to they're out of the 1 seed contention with the loss today, because then it's definitely the Birds or the Cowboys that get it. But that's weird. I like the Vikings all week. I still do, but that numbers really market's keeping me away from the game. I'm interested to see how it plays out, but I lean Vikings in it because they are still a better football team.
Yeah, one more point on that real quick. I mean, the last time we saw Minnesota, we saw the Patriots drop 27 on them or something. Mm-hmm. Their defense just isn't that good. I mean, the Patriots offense is horrific, as we just saw the other night against the Bills. There's something about that team that's just not good.
And that Jets defense might be the best side.
It's real.
It might be the best side on the field today, right? In that game. So, if they can limit the playmakers on Minnesota's side, Jefferson, Cook included, even their secondary guys feeling I think that's why New York's live in this one.
Good matchup to watch one-on-one. Sauce Gardner and Justin Jefferson. Really interested to see if he's able to lock him up a little bit. If he's able to take him out of the game and at least eliminate the big plays, Jets are really live dogs then. All right. Ravens, Broncos. I don't care.
Yeah, I got nothing. I don't trust this Ravens defense even a little bit. I still think they're a little undervalued, the Ravens. In my own head, I'm not acting on that and betting them, but they've had a 10-point lead in all their losses in the fourth quarter. I mean, you have to do something right to get up that high. They would have a possibility of being undefeated through 12 weeks or whatever, but their defense just is underperforming. So I'm passing on this team. I'm not laying 9 with them.
Yeah, I'm not ready to back the Ravens with any big number, right? Because like Sean mentioned, they've had 10-point leads in their losses, but in spots where they've been laying more than a touchdown, I don't know how often have they covered that number. Not enough for me to even remember or be willing to look it up, because I'm taking the Broncos. I got the 9.5 last night. I'm okay with rolling with them, and which looking like a pretty solid at least it looks like a sharp play on the market now with them getting less than 50% of the tickets than the Ravens. But I just think it's like just too big of a number for the Ravens to cover, even at home. Like I could see this one getting ugly. And I was telling Sean earlier, like, with that angle in mind, the idea of a Broncos play and an underplay. Because if you like the idea of the Broncos, being competitive in this one, we're not relying on them to score, right? We're relying on them to make this one a sloppy and ugly game. So I think some combination of the Broncos and the under could be a worthwhile play too.
I weirdly think the Broncos have a fighter's chance at winning this football game. Mm-hmm. I'm not ruling that out because it's when everybody officially writes you off, but people are down on the Ravens.
Like, what is it with what are you like? Either of you, like, because to me, the Russell Wilson, side, like to me, I think they have like playmakers, some playmakers, between, I know Judy's been in and out, but with Sutton and some of the other guys there, but what is it ultimately about our offense that they're doing so poorly, not even able to get any points on the board?
Play calling, coaching.
You think it's that
locker room? I think it's a culmination of a lot of different things. I think they're just a disaster from top to bottom, and it starts with the coach, and then it goes down to Russell Wilson, and then it trickles down to everybody else. That's what I think. But I'm not in the locker room, so I don't really know.
Full on dumpster fire.
Yeah, no, I agree. The biggest thing I worry about with this Broncos team is their defense quitting at some point. At some point, it's like, what are we playing for? I mean, we scored 17 points a game. If we scored 18 points a game or whatever that stat is, they'd be 9-1 or 11, whatever the hell the stat is. But I mean, at some point, they're just going to be like, fuck this.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, couldn't say it any better. At some point, like, they're going to break and be like, what are we doing this for? I mean, you saw it last week where that D tackle was like screaming at Russ. So there's major issues there, and nobody showed up to his birthday party. Fuck that guy. All right, let's go to Atlanta. I'm done talking about the Broncos. Atlanta is now a 1-point home dog to the Steelers. You like the Steelers in this spot, Sean, but like you're afraid to take them.
Yeah, I feel like there's another similar to the Washington pick. I just feel like I'm buying high here on the Steelers. They've been playing well the last couple of weeks since TJ's come back. I think they're 2-1 ATS and played a good game against the Bengals. They just got lit up, unfortunately. But it's just a bad matchup, I think, for Atlanta. All they do is run the ball. The Steelers can stop the run. Their weakness is their secondary. I like the matchup for Pittsburgh here. I think it's just going to be a lean for me, and I'm going to let it go. But it just feels like two teams going in two different directions right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's a lean. I don't want to bet that game. There's too many other good ones, and like I don't really care about that one. But I definitely think Pittsburgh's trending up. Kenny's trending up. Falcons can only run the ball, and that's what the Steelers are built to stop. So good luck. Rob, you want to add anything to that one?
No, that's it. You guys have said enough. That's a pass for me, dog, on that one. No, Well, to Sean's point, I just think it's buying high on the Steelers just this week alone. I mean, the Steelers have been steamed this week. So at this point, if you haven't gotten in already, I would start looking towards Atlanta. But it's pass at this point.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Chicago. Both starting quarterbacks are playing. Chicago home dog lane, getting 3.5. What do you think?
Yeah, I know. I took the Bears team total over 20.5 here for even money at DraftKings. I mean, with Justin Fields in this lineup, it's a pretty simple handicap. They score points. If you're giving me under 3 touchdowns, I'm taking that every time against a bad defense and another team that could possibly be on the verge of quitting.
I think they are after that Eagles loss. It's like, all right, we gave it our best go and came up short. So I'm with you. I like that angle a lot. I think the Bears are live home dogs, Rob.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this is one of the few early plays that last night that I put in that early this morning was looking a little rough. I had the Bears at 3.5 as the home dog. But it looked like it was as high as 4.5 we saw earlier this morning, but now it's coming back down to the 3.5, 4 at some places. So if you are on the Bears, I would get it while it's hot. With the news of Fields playing, I love the team total play that Sean gave out, the over 20.5. I'm on that for even money at DraftKings too. I think that's a good way of playing that Bears play as well. Given that line's moved around, missed out on a key number, I think at some point, but still like where we sit with them, like Fields at home, just with where both teams are, what both teams are playing for. You want to talk about a team that, like what else are we playing for, right? In defenses, the Chicago team's got to consider that. But I think with Fields in the lineup, that gives them enough spark to want to play for this one at home against Green Bay. And I'm not so sure Rodgers, makes it through another game or doesn't make it through this game. So we might see Jordan Love.
I think motivation's just high after getting beaten down by the Packers for so long. This is
11 straight.
Yeah, 11 straight. Like, you got to get one. I think it's a great spot for them to get one. I really do like them to win this game. I don't know if I have it in me to make that an official play, but if they go down early, I'm definitely going to bet them live. That's definitely one of those numbers I'm going to watch and see what happens in like the first quarter and then make a move from there. All right, let's get to maybe what we've talked about being like the best play in a long time. We're in San Fran. That just jumped to 5.5.
Oh, shit.
That just jumped to 5.5. So glad we got that in early. Niners are 5.5-point favorites against Miami, and everybody's betting Miami. It's another situation. You're going to give us the better football team, and Vegas is rooting for them. Niners are a multiple unit play for me. Go ahead, Sean. Sorry.
Yeah, this is my favorite play of the weekend, and it's pretty fundamental here. You take a look at the Dolphins depth chart, and they're missing both their tackles against arguably the best defensive line in football, probably the best defense in football. I think the Niners are going to have a field day, statement win, all that. The Dolphins are just due to get punched in their face.
Mm-hmm.
When Sean came out, he texted us earlier in the week, Mike, right about those tackles, and I was just thinking, we got to jump on the Niners as soon as possible, right? So I thought at the 4.5, I didn't think it was going to come down any more than that. If anything, it would jump up. So now hearing that it goes up to as high as 5.5, in the half hour we've been on, that's good news. It's a multiple unit play for me too. I think it is for all of us across the board. I think, again, like looking at the market, and the amount of bets coming in on Miami, I think there's a lot of big money, sharp play on the Niners here as a favorite at home. I love that spot. So, I think that's why it's lighting up for all of us.
Yeah, give me the better football team all around. Dolphins have better weapons maybe and quarterback play right now, but all around, like Niners in the trenches. The different brands of football today that you're going to see, give me the tough football team instead of the cute one.
The game earlier in the season against the Bengals, right? With when Tua went out, when they have a tough time protecting the quarterback, the Dolphins, that offense could break down, right? So with both tackles out, at the very least, I could see it getting, a difficult time getting adjusted to that. And the Niners are the kind of team where it's not necessarily, like a Chiefs team where, or that Golden State Warriors mentality where they could just turn it on and then, within the span of a couple minutes, they're the team that needs to control that tempo with the run game and the mix of things that they do on their side with Shanahan. So, if you allow them to do that early, and that defense and that defensive line to get pressure early, I think this one could be we could be switching over to Kansas City, Cincinnati earlier than expected.
I wholeheartedly agree. And when we all said that this was like our favorite play as a collective throughout the whole course of the week, it's like, all right, like give me the Niners. It's a perfect time to fade the Dolphins because this game really, in the grand scheme of things, this loss doesn't matter that much to them. I think they might just try and get the hell out of San Francisco as soon as possible. All right, let's move on to, we're still in California. We're in LA. LA's hosting Seattle. That line came down to 6.5. That's coming off that key number there. That's wanky. I think the Rams are like alive as a dog as well. I'm not betting that. I don't think that they win, but I will not be surprised if they pull that one off.
Yeah.
I'm staying away here. I think this could be another good teaser spot for the Seahawks if you want to pair that with the Giants or a Bengals or whatever you want to do there. I have a hard time backing the Rams here. They just shut Matt Stafford down for the year. Aaron Donald's out. I just don't know how much juice they're going to bring today. I don't know how bought in they are. So it's just going to be a pass for me.
Seattle's still alive to win that division.
For sure.
So, a motivation aspect is very different, clearly. I'd be shocked if the Rams pull it off and win, but I won't be shocked if they cover. Like Seattle, I feel like is trending down. But I mean, big division game. Rob, I know you have some money on this one. What are you thinking?
Well, I think first it's like, I think we got to credit. We haven't talked enough about Geno Smith and the way he's played this year, right? Like when we're talking about the MVP discussion, we had, you have your Mahomes, your Hurts, and now, and they're kind of in the conversation. But when you're looking at numbers and quarterbacks and the way, what they've meant to their team, Geno Smith has had a great year. But coming into Los Angeles, I'm seeing enough money on the Rams here, enough big money on the Rams to make it worth a shot. So I snagged the 7 last night. So with it dipping under the 7 now, that I'm happy with that number. But at home, I've just liked the way the team has fought in the last couple of weeks. Kansas City game, and recent, especially without Stafford and some of the key players, the stars versus scrubs team that they're referred to as. I think that's like. Honestly, this was kind of more or less the LA Rams team I thought we'd see last year if things didn't go well with health or otherwise, with just the way the team is set up. But I don't know, enough here for me to back them at an ugly number. A couple hold your nose picks for me this week, but this is one of them.
That's all right. That's all right. I'm not mad at that play at all. I think that's a really good contrarian play for the day. All right, this one's weird. I don't even really want to talk about it that much. We're in Vegas. They're giving 2.5 to the Chargers at home. I don't know. Like I can't figure either team out, and I don't want to.
And I feel the same way. It's a complete pass for me. Either team I bet is going to lose. Every time I bet either of these teams, it loses. Like I don't know either of these teams, so I'm passing this game.
It's so weird because Vegas was steamed as a short home dog to the short favorite. There's still a big money spread on Vegas. At what lane? What was it? 1.5, lane 2.5 now. It looks like as high at some spots. It's just way too weird of a line for me, so I'm staying away. If you weren't on Vegas, again, similar to the Pittsburgh game, if you weren't on Vegas early, I'm out now. This is a good game. Like I mentioned earlier, I would look to play it live. So if you can catch over a touchdown with either team, I could see this one coming down to the wire, which ends up being the case with a lot of the games, if not all the games these two teams play. So I think either team is live over a touchdown.
Yeah, I totally agree about that live bet. This is another spot I'm definitely interested to get a live number on. We're in Cincy, America's Game of the Week, and this is one hell of a slate, and I cannot wait to just buckle down for the next few hours and watch football. Home dogs, 2.5. They have the Chiefs coming in, big revenge spot for the Chiefs. What are you guys thinking?
Yeah, I'm going to back what's been the best team in the NFL in the first 2 months and 3 months of the season. I'm going to take the Chiefs on the road here under a field goal, double revenge game from last year, and they've just been a machine all year. I want Patrick Mahomes under a field goal anytime I can get him.
Agreed.
It's a scary play for me because I think the Chiefs are becoming a little chalky, but I can't not back the Chiefs in this spot. To me, I think the line is telling me to bet Kansas City, right? Laying less than a field goal in Cincinnati with Pat Mahomes. I can't bet against Pat Mahomes in this spot for the whether it's the revenge factor or otherwise. Just he's playing. He's the MVP this year, and I can't bet against them at this point. So for the sake of this being again America's Game of the Week, I will make the play at the 2.5. But I'm also going to make the contrarian play on under at 53. Which is, I think, mostly 52.5. In most spots, you might be able to find the 53 out there. But I like the under in this spot, especially with that moving with 80% of the tickets and money coming in on the over on this game.
I could be wrong about this, but I think this game comes down to the last play. One-score game either way. But I'm taking in the better quarterback and the better coach again. And the Bengals are playing damn good football lately. They're trending way up. Their stock is skyrocketing. But to me, this is such a big football game for both teams. So I really want to just take the better quarterback. I mean, it's really hard to say when you're talking about Joe Burrow not being the better quarterback. I don't know. I feel good about the Chiefs. They're not going to get little broed by the Bengals that much, are they? That's kind of my take on it.
I think they're going to come in here to send a message. I mean, they know what happened last year. They don't get bullied by anybody. No. I think they had this one marked on the calendar. I mean, who's the last team that beat them twice in one season in the last 5 years? I don't know if anybody has.
It would have been maybe the Raiders or Chargers in a while, but maybe going back. But I agree. I agree with Mike to this. Like, I think this could wind up being a close game eventually. So I mentioned the Giants as a teaser play as a home dog earlier. I love Cincinnati as a home dog teaser play as well. So the two of them, standard 6-point teaser at 8.5 at home is -120. So I have I bet that to a unit play. For the teaser. So you have the two separate plays with Washington. I'm tailing Michael and Kansas City. We have under at both at 2.5, and then teasing the home dogs up. So kind of, maybe try to middle a close game there, but otherwise have a couple different angles of play there. So that's what I like the Bengals as that other spot for that reason.
I have the Chiefs -2.5 already. If the Chiefs go up early, I could definitely see them coming out gunslinging. If they go up early, I'm live betting the Bengals. If you get me anything above 6.5, if they get over a touchdown at any point in time, that is a no-brainer. I'm taking the Bengals, and I don't care how the game is going because it's not going to finish that way. So be weary on either side. You give me anything around 7 for either side, I'm taking that. It doesn't matter. All right. Night game. We're in Dallas. 10.5. Really hard to talk about this game after all the good games we've talked about. I don't particularly care. My only thought is the way to stop a good pass rush is to establish the run. And that's what the Colts are going to need to do. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it's a complete pass for me. The only way I could look is the Colts. Dallas laying 10.5 at home. It's just a ton of points for a primetime game. I'm just going to stay away.
Yeah, this is another. We've already talked about enough like ugly spots, but with pretty looking numbers. I love the way the 10.5 is looking on the market, but I don't need to talk about another ugly game right now. There's so many other good ones up until tonight, but it would be a lean for me on the Colts too with the 10.5.
All right, yeah, I kind of lean that way as well, just because that's so many goddamn points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everybody, official cards coming out. Enjoy the Sunday. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
And I guess go Niners. All right, boys. Dude, I cannot wait